What would you do if you discovered your wife and best friend weren't just betraying you? They were systematically destroying every aspect of your existence while laughing about how gullible you were. The moment I found out, my entire world didn't just crack. It exploded into a million pieces. And what I did next will leave you speechless. If you're here for stories where justice gets served ice cold, smash that subscribe button, because this revenge story will blow your mind. 8 years of marriage to Sarah felt like a fairy tale. She'd surprise me with my favorite meals after brutal workdays, leave little love notes in my lunch, and Jake would joke that we made him sick with how perfect we were. Jake had been my college roommate, best man at my wedding, the guy I called at 2 a.m. when life got rough. My digital marketing company was booming. We'd just bought our dream house, and I genuinely believed I was the luckiest man alive. I was so blindly happy that I missed every single red flag screaming in my face. The first crack appeared when Sarah started deleting her browser history, something she'd never done in 8 years. She claimed her new yoga classes ran late, but she'd come home energized instead of tired, practically glowing with excitement. Jake stopped responding to my texts for hours, then would send weird, overly casual responses like he'd rehearsed them. Then Sarah began asking strange questions about my business finances, disguising them as innocent curiosity about our future. She wanted to know about my partnership agreements, insurance policies, even my personal banking passwords for emergency purposes. When I walked into rooms, conversations would die instantly, and both of them would get this guilty, shifty look that made my stomach churn. My instincts were screaming danger, but I kept telling myself I was being paranoid because I loved them both too much to face the truth. Everything changed the day I left work early with food poisoning and saw Jake's distinctive red pickup truck parked behind the library, where Sarah claimed to be researching design trends. I sat in my car for 40 minutes. Sweat wasn't just an affair. It was a calculated, months-long conspiracy to financially rape me. They'd been meeting with divorce attorneys, researching how Sarah could claim I was emotionally abusive to maximize her settlement. Jake had been consulting business lawyers about forcing me out of my own company by proving I was mentally unstable and incompetent. The photos showed them at 3 different law offices, holding hands while reviewing documents that would destroy my life. They'd researched my business insurance policies, my personal assets, even my family's inheritance laws. Sarah had been secretly documenting fake evidence of my supposed abuse, recording normal conversations out of context, photographing herself crying on command. They weren't just stealing my money. They were planning to steal my reputation, my sanity, and everything I'd worked for since college. The woman I worshipped and the man I called brother were planning to bury me alive. Every fiber of my being wanted to storm into our bedroom and confront Sarah immediately, to grab Jake by the throat and demand answers. But something cold and calculating took over my brain. If they could spend months plotting my destruction with surgical precision, I could do the same thing, except I'd be better at it. Living that double life nearly broke me. I'd kiss Sarah goodbye each morning while imagining her laughing about my stupidity with Jake. I'd text Jake about weekend plans, knowing he was probably showing Sarah our conversations and mocking my trust. The worst nights were when Sarah would initiate sex, and I'd lie there afterward, wondering if she was thinking about him. If every "I love you" was just another lie in her elaborate performance. I started sleeping in the guest room, claiming work stress was giving me insomnia. At least there I could cry without her seeing. I became a master manipulator, feeding their greed exactly what it craved. I casually mentioned to Sarah that I was moving our savings to an untraceable offshore account for tax purposes, watching her eyes practically light up with dollar signs. Finances had raised red flags months ago. Sarah's sister Emma called me in tears, disgusted by Sarah's bragging phone calls about how easy I was to manipulate and how rich she'd be after the divorce. Emma became my inside source, sharing Sarah's voicemails where she'd laugh about my pathetic devotion and discuss timeline strategies with Jake. Mark helped me quietly secure our business assets and document Jake's attempted corporate espionage. Even our friend Lisa admitted she'd felt sick watching Jake pump her for information about my personal habits and mental state. Realizing I wasn't completely alone gave me the strength to continue this psychological warfare without completely losing my mind. I chose our anniversary dinner for the confrontation because I wanted Sarah to remember this moment every time she thought about our wedding day. I told her I had a special surprise that would change everything between us forever. Technically true. I separately told Jake I needed to discuss important business changes that would affect his future. Also true. I spent weeks preparing every detail, organizing evidence into a presentation that would systematically destroy every lie they'd built. I'd already moved our real assets to accounts they couldn't access and documented every fraudulent conversation. The night before, I stood in our bedroom watching Sarah sleep, feeling nothing but cold satisfaction. Tomorrow, the woman who'd shared my bed while planning my destruction would learn what real betrayal felt like. When Jake walked into that private dining room and saw Sarah already seated, the color drained from both their faces like someone had opened a valve. I smiled and said, "Surprise, darling." I thought we should all celebrate our anniversary together. I opened my laptop and began the slideshow. Photos of their secret meetings, recorded conversations, their fake evidence against me, everything. Sarah's face cycled through denial, tears, then pure rage as she realized her performance was over. Jake tried throwing Sarah under the bus, claiming she'd seduced and manipulated him. But I had recordings of him researching divorce law weeks before their affair started. They turned into snarling animals, screaming accusations at each other while I sat there, charges for corporate espionage, and lost everything when I shared his betrayal with his employer and professional network. 1 year later, I'm thriving in ways I never imagined. The business exploded without Jake's toxic presence. I'm dating an incredible woman who values honesty above everything. And I wake up every day grateful for dodging the bullet of a lifetime with Sarah. They lasted exactly 6 weeks together before imploding. Turns out relationships built on mutual betrayal don't have strong foundations. Sarah tried crawling back with tearful apologies. And Jake attempted to blame his actions on mental health issues. But some betrayals burn so deep they become permanent scars. The sweetest revenge isn't getting mad. It's getting everything while they get exactly what they deserve. Each other's company in their shared misery. If you enjoyed watching karma work its magic, subscribe for more stories where justice gets served ice cold with a smile.